Hello, I'm Charlene Stevens, the City Administrator for the City of Cottage Grove. Joining me today for Council Update is Mayor Myron Bailey. Today we're going to be talking about pavement management. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the 2016 Pavement Management Program. I mean, this is something the city does annually. The city has quite a bit of a history in doing pavement management. Maybe you want to help explain how long the city's been doing pavement management and what that entails.
Absolutely. So I can just tell you a little bit that we've been doing pavement management since basically 1994, and we've been through a variety of renditions of it, made some changes over the years, and pavement management can be kind of glorious, in kind of a fun way. But in this particular year, though, we're focusing on a couple key areas, and we made kind of a change this year because one of the areas that we're focusing on is 80th Street.
Okay.
So we are taking 80th Street and breaking it into sections because of the high cost, and we're going to continue with that area. And so right now, I think this year, we're going to do between Ideal and by Jamaica there. So Crossroads Church on one end and the high school in essence on the other. And then we've got what they call D2, F3, and F5, and D2 is actually on the other side, the older part of Cottage Grove, which is over kind of by Pine Hill Elementary School, near Hadley. And then F3 and F5 is kind of, I guess you'd say east or south of 80th Street and west of Keats.
Right, kind of those neighborhoods that are across from City Hall.
Yes, exactly.
So those neighborhoods that are across from City Hall, and those are going to be some of the areas that we're going to be doing this year for pavement management. It seems a little odd sometimes to talk about pavement management in the middle of January, but we plan ahead. And that's part of it. And the city's ordered those improvements. And one of the questions is always cost and how are they paid for, and how do people get assessed? Yeah,
and what we do is through a lot of meetings we get a lot of feedback from the neighbors and anybody that's in this. And it depends on the cost. Obviously, what's going on with petroleum prices and that.
Sure.
So we always estimate, do estimates at the beginning. We want to make sure that whatever we're going to do is cost efficient and isn't overbearing to the homeowners and frankly the citizens of Cottage Grove, because our ratios, the city pays a big chunk of it, and then obviously the residents pay a portion of it too. And 45-55, I believe. So 45% is what's paid for the citizen or the homeowner, and 55% is covered by the city. And then there's also other pieces in there, like for example, if we're working on need work on street lights, we'll use the street light fund for part of that. In one of these areas where we're doing a full reconstruct, which is on the east side or the west side, I'm sorry, of Cottage Grove near Hamlet and Hadley, that road is in such rough shape that we are going to do full replacement there, which is complete curb and gutter along with a new road. And being that we're doing that, we've had some issues with street lights over there, with lights not being lit on a consistent basis, and so we're putting in some conduit that will rewire those areas over there, so we'll have less issues going forward with streetlights.
Okay, and this year the total project cost is about $6.4 million. Again, 45% of that is going to be assessed towards the residential properties, and a little bit we can maybe even talk about assessments for people, how those are payable, so they can pay those up front. They also have the ability to spread those over time.
Exactly. So, once we actually go to the final process where we're going to be making the assessments and have the final cost involved, which I believe will be in October.
Yep, that is much
is the estimated time. You'll have basically 30 days after that date to either pay it off completely or make incremental payments after that date. And you can pay it off eventually without the interest in the future. So, I mean, you'll have to pay some if you decide it. It goes on your local taxes.
It is payable over 15 years. It gets paid at an interest rate of 1.5% above the bond rate. We do let partial payments. Sometimes somebody who's a senior citizen or maybe has a disability, they can also seek a deferral.
Yes.
And there's a process for that as well. And so folks, there's multiple ways to pay it. We try not to make it a hardship for individuals. And I think that's also sometimes what scares people, is that they have to pay it all up front. But of course, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can pay it, as you said, have it added onto your tax bill and pay it over that time as well.
Yeah, and one other thing I should mention too, because I recently received an email from a citizen concerned about why my roads look like they're good. And so we've had some conversations about, how do we
How do we choose
how do
the
we
roads?
choose the roads? And it isn't we just pick an area and say we're going to do it. We actually test the roads, variety of mechanisms that we use to verify how good is the road and what its life expectancy is, and how much more work we're going to have to do from a public works standpoint if we don't work the road or get it fixed or replaced, depending on what's wrong with the road. So that's just a key item that a lot of people may not realize, but that's something we want to make sure that they do.
Right. Okay, well, thank you. For more information about pavement management, contact Ryan Burfine, the project engineer. Thank you, Mayor Bailey.
Thank you.